Happy New Year and welcome to episode 182 of ATL Prime Sports. I'm JJ Jurjevich, and joining me this evening is my fabulous co-host Wayne Ridenauer in Memphis, Tennessee. And you can catch us all at ATL Prime Sports on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, and of course Apple and Spotify. Personal Twitters or X's, whichever you prefer. I still call it Twitter. At JJ Get You One for myself, at RWY Jr. for Wayne, at Corder Todd for TC Todd Corder, who is calling the Clayton State Lakers game versus the Augusta Jaguars today. And of course, at LG for Real, though, who is 50-50. He was also doing some coaching and local Adairsville sports movement. All of the above for Larry. He's a busy guy, and he's honestly starting to get ready for the Rome Emperors now. We'll have spring training coming up momentarily. So that's our X handles. Wayne, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Well, man, I'm doing pretty well. But, you know, I got to looking at these Final Four football in the playoffs, and being from the Southeast, I don't really care for any of those teams. So if there's any other Southeastern fans that look at that and think, wow, I don't think I'm interested in this, switch on over to some SEC basketball because it's exciting. We just had our first two games of SEC conference play, and there were three unbeaten teams. And now there's no unbeaten team. So that just lets you know how crazy it is. It's very exciting, too, because anything can happen. I mean, look at what happened with Georgia and Kentucky. How about yourself, JJ? How things been with you?
Man, everything is great. Thanks for asking. Kids are good. Wife's good. And I got an SEC basketball comment. You just mentioned it. I'm doing well, but not as well as the Georgia Bulldogs men's basketball program. They beat number 6 Kentucky 82-69 last night. The first top 10 win in 5 years for the Dogs. And Wayne, I wasn't going to do it to you, but I am. It was against your Memphis Tigers the last time Georgia had a top 10 victory.
Yep.
And Georgia won it.
What was so interesting about that is Tom Crean was the coach back then. And for that broadcast of the Georgia game, I believe he was in studio having to talk about it. So that was kind of awkward for him, I suppose.
Yeah, probably a little awkward, but boy, this Georgia team's a little different. They've won 10 straight home games and will continue its difficult in-conference schedule versus number 17 Oklahoma this Saturday in Athens. And you're right, Wayne, lots of parity in the SEC. Every single team already has double digits. 10-4 is the worst overall record in the SEC. Which is unbelievable. The Sooners are 13-1. Tennessee's 14-1. The Gators just beat Tennessee the other night as well, 14-1. Your Auburn Tigers, 14-1. It's just unbelievable to see this amount of parity in the SEC this early. And the Texas Longhorns, a pretty good basketball program in Austin, are 0-2 in the SEC to start out. So going to be very interesting, but you know, we'll stay on this for 2 seconds. But Georgia's schedule, listen to this. They opened up at Ole Miss. They hosted Kentucky. They host number 17 Oklahoma. They go to Knoxville to face number 1 Tennessee. They host number 2 Auburn. They go to Fayetteville and play a pretty good Arkansas team, as I just mentioned. And they go to Florida to play the number 8 team in the country. And then they go to Tuscaloosa and play the number 5 team in the country later on in the season. Unbelievable schedule. We'll move forward, though. What's on tap? Nathan Lewis from SportsMix, when Nathan Lewis will join us. What went wrong with the Falcons? 2 championship picks for you, a college football playoff and a Super Bowl pick. And we'll preview and pick 6 of the best football games from the weekend in our Pick 6. And without further ado, Wayne, let's welcome back New Year. Same guest, Nathan Lewis, host of Sports Mix when Nathan Lewis joins ATL Prime Sports for our first show of this new year. Nathan, thanks for coming on. How are you doing this evening?
Hey, I'm doing nice, guys. I'm doing nice. It's a new year, new start. How about that?
Yeah.
Isn't that right? It's always good to turn over on 25 and put the year behind you into perspectives as the clock hits midnight, huh?
Yep.
Oh, most definitely. But despite what's happened in the country in the past couple of days with New Orleans and Las Vegas, I still try to keep the positive attitude about it. I really do.
You got to, and I appreciate you coming on. And let's start with these Atlanta Falcons. From 6-3 to not even in the playoffs, what went wrong with these Atlanta Falcons, Nathan?
Well, the defense is a problem. Definitely. They don't get to the quarterback. They don't stop the run. And they will give up a big play in the passing game. Well, not every single play, but it happens enough times to where it's just going to just keep them from really advancing, really growing, really becoming a much better team than they really could be. Because you saw that Carolina game. They made Bryce Young look like the second coming of Michael Vick in a lot of ways. They made him look like Peyton Manning in a lot of ways. He's a good quarterback. He's a young quarterback. And me personally, I think he's going to be fired next year. I'm telling you, he's really going to be good. He's got the right coach. Dave Canales is an offensive-minded coach, and he knows how to fix quarterbacks. And it looks like he's already in the process of fixing Bryce Young. So he's going to be a much better player and a much better quarterback next season. But I just felt it was inexcusable. With all the big plays, the big throws, and the big runs, the Falcons gave up, a couple of days ago, and the defense was a big part of it. That's that problem.
You're listening. Yeah, you're listening to Nathan Lewis of SportsMix with Nathan Lewis. He's the host, talking a little Falcons football. I agree with you 100%. They made 5 touchdowns for Bryce Young. Guy has turned it around, got benched, came back. And honestly, I think he should be up for comeback player of the year with the benching he went through early. But Bryce Young and Dave Canales are working together well. Found Adam Thielen for a couple good completions. This Coker guy, I believe is his last name, number 18, undrafted free agent out of, I think it was Holy Cross, I believe. Just made the Falcons look terrible. And honestly, Nathan, I want to get your quick opinion on this. I felt the Falcons gave up once they saw the scoreboard went final in Tampa Bay. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, if that's really happened, then that in itself is a problem. That's a cultural problem right there. First of all, they shouldn't even been in that position. Now, I'm going to give Dave Canales, the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, his flowers. There just seems to be a changing of the mentality there. It's not going to happen right away, but just with Bryce Young along, like I said, he was an offensive-minded coach. He worked over Seattle and all the things that he did there. Just everything that he did, he just worked his way up from the bottom, and now he's, the head coach there at Carolina. Like I said, he can work with quarterbacks. He can fix quarterbacks. He's an offensive-minded coach. He can fix offenses. And that in itself is going to work wonders for Bryce Young. Like I said, he looked good against the Falcons, and I'm saying he's going to be even better next year. He just needed a coach that could fix him. He finally has a coach, and Dave Canales who can fix him.
Excuse me.
So,
I agree with that.
To answer your question about the Falcons, and to answer your question about the Falcons, like I just said, if that really happened, then that's a cultural problem in itself. You're giving up. First of all, Carolina shouldn't have even been in that game by the time the fourth quarter rolled around. You should have had that game. Well, not that you had to blow them out, but you should have gotten enough first downs. You should have burned enough clock. You should have scored at least a good 15 or 16 points, and your defense would just simply do their job. You win.
Agreed 100%. Wayne, you have a comment for Nathan. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I was thinking about the Atlanta Falcons and how, we're talking about, they should have had better defense. They should have had better edge rush. And I think we were saying the same thing about that last year. And even the year before that, when we could have picked Micah Parsons in the draft, but we chose not to. So I'm wondering how things would be different over the last 3 years had Micah Parsons been a part of the team.
So you're saying the Falcons had a chance to get Micah and they passed on him?
That's what I remember, but I might be wrong as well. But I just remember he was in the draft, and I think we were, of course, like always, one of the first teams to pick.
Yeah, I believe if my memory serves correctly, I think it was Kyle Pitts we took instead of Micah Parsons. So interesting. Nathan, I agree with you. I think you're spot on. Let's stay in the NFL. Which teams do you have playing for the Super Bowl in February, man?
Lions versus Chiefs. But the
Lions and
Chiefs
Chiefs, and
don't lose it. Yes.
oh, so you
But
got
the
the
Chiefs don't
Lions
lose it.
hosting the Lombardi? Oh, you have the
Yes.
Chiefs three-peating. The Lions host the trophy. They get their first one and their first meeting
They get
ever.
their first
That
one. Yes. I got them getting
I,
their
I
first
would
one.
I would love that. I think Jared Goff is a great story. I think Dan Campbell's a great story. The injuries, they've just put it by them, and next man up mentality. And you like the Chiefs on the AFC side of the bracket. Doesn't seem like anybody can beat them. The Bills are able to do it in the regular season. Will the Bills be able to do it in possibly the AFC title game? We will see. That is yet to come, and I'm excited for these NFL playoffs. Is there any upsets you see this weekend happening, Nathan?
If there is an upset, just maybe, Packers over Eagles.
That would be an upset.
It'd be one
If
of the
there is
bigger
an
ones.
upset.
I like it because Jalen Hurts a little questionable. If you can tangle up Saquon, maybe that offense becomes a little less potent with that rushing attack. So yeah, I like that pick a lot. And now we'll transition from the pros to college, and then we'll get you out of here. I told you to be short and easy and quick, man. Who you got winning the college football playoff out of these four remaining teams?
Realistically, if I'm just going strictly off objective and momentum, Ohio State. Just off of momentum, the way they're playing, the way their offense is clicking right now, and their defense is doing just enough to win every game, especially against the run. But with my heart, I got to go with Notre Dame. I am rooting for Marcus Freeman right about now. And he does have one of the best defenses in the country. He definitely has the best secondary in the country. And
100%.
his top running back, Jeremiah, I think it's Jeremiah. I hope I can get his name right.
Jeremiah Love.
Starting running back for Notre Dame. Jeremiah Love, that's his last name. Jeremiah Love is supposed to be back in the lineup coming up against Penn State in a couple of days. So that's going to help their running game. They're going to be that much more dangerous, that much more physical. I mean, people don't realize, people seem to underestimate just how physical Notre Dame is in the running game and how their offensive linemen are. I mean, they got guys go to the NFL almost every year. I think they should be on lineman you as opposed to like anybody else right now. And then, like I said, that defense, like I said, best secondary in the country. With Jeremiah Love, the starting running back, that running game gets that much more physical. They bloody noses. They put you on your backside. Notre Dame. And like I said, I'm rooting for Marcus Freeman from a historic standpoint.
Yeah, 100%. It should be a great semifinals weekend. Thursday and Friday matchups, not trying to compete with the NFL. Do you think Penn State has any advantage with a couple extra days on Notre Dame due to the incidents in New Orleans?
Honestly, no. I just don't see an advantage for Penn State. Yeah, they have a few more days of rest, but I don't know. Notre Dame, those guys, they want to play right now. So, nah. I just don't think
Yeah,
it's that much of an edge.
sorry to jump in on there, Nathan. Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. Marcus Freeman said it best. You know, it's kind of like a Saturday to Saturday. He basically said it's been a week to week thing, so it's kind of like a normal work week. And I think that does benefit a well coached team in Notre Dame. And Nathan, that about wraps it up for us. Wayne, you got any other final thoughts for Nathan? If not, Nathan, please shout out how our listeners can get in contact with you and how they can listen to your show, Sports Mix with Nathan Lewis.
All right. Well, I don't
yes,
have much for you. Just go ahead and tell us where you're at there, Nathan. We can hook onto your thing there and watch you.
Okay, well, yes, you can definitely hear Sports Mix with Nathan Lewis on Spotify. I usually do the show Monday, 7 a.m. I'm on Twitter at SportsMix Nathan, Facebook, SportsMix Nathan Lewis. And also, like I say, download podbean.com. Podbean.com. Download that to your phone or your laptop. Or like I said, you can just simply listen on Spotify.
Sports Mix
On
with
the show
Nathan
that
Lewis.
always is.
That's right. The show that always is, and very entertaining stuff. Nathan has been doing this for, well, quite a while, about as long as we have here at ATL Prime Sports, maybe even longer than that. Nathan, you're a good friend of the show, a good friend of mine. Happy New Year to you and your family. And, man, you're welcome here anytime, buddy.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
I got to roll,
Again,
guys.
one more.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem. Again, Nathan Lewis, host of Sports Mix with Nathan Lewis. You can catch him on X at Sports Mix Nathan. Again, Sports Mix Nathan on X for Nathan Lewis, host of Sports Mix with Nathan Lewis. Thanks again, Nathan. We'll move on from Nathan to our next show, next topic in the show. A little rusty here. The Falcons ended the season the same way the last 7 seasons ended. Not going to the playoffs, Wayne.
Yeah. Well,
What went wrong with this team? We asked Nathan, and we got Nathan's opinion. Now we're going to dig into our opinions a little bit more. What went wrong?
well, they didn't score more points than the other team before the end of the regulation, and that is one of the major requirements of winning a game.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? You know, if I could take one play back from the season, I think it'd be the Kirk Cousins pick 6 against the Chargers that cost us the game. That cost the Falcons the ball game.
Yep.
If you get that play, and then you get 1 or 2 other plays, the Falcons are in the playoffs. But the season doesn't work like that. And the Falcons, they're an atrocious defense. Honestly, it's one of the worst defenses I remember in Falcons history. 24.9 points per game they gave up. Let's go look at their statistics defensively, and yards per game was just atrocious as well in that category. They're honestly kind of middle of the pack in that category, and a little towards the bottom of the barrel. They gave up 345.2 yards per game. Passing, one of the again, middle of the pack, 224 yards. Rushing, over 120 yards. That's the problem. When people are rushing for 120 yards and falling over for 4 and 5 yards, as the Panthers were able to do with Sanders and his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, it was just mind-blowing. I mean, again, that's why I go back to the fact I definitely feel like the Falcons' attitude changed when that score went final in Tampa Bay. And they looked up and they saw Tampa Bay had won. They could have done what Detroit did two years ago and said, let's win this last game no matter what. Let's get a winning record, and let's get that, what Nathan said too, is culture, that winning culture in place, Wayne. And the Falcons haven't done that. They failed to do that Sunday afternoon against one of the weaker opponents in your division / the NFL, and a team that you mollywopped earlier in the season by 18 points. So, and you end the season in 2 overtime losses where the team just drove down, plowed you, and scored a go-ahead game-winning touchdown without even a chance of getting the ball to Michael Penix and this rookie quarterback. So, I mean, everything went wrong with the Falcons, folks. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the pass down the stretch. Jesse Bates was going after every pass like it was his life because Simmons dropped off and play from the second half of the season on. It's just A.J. Terrell played his butt off. Clark Phillips, I don't know if he's the guy for the other side of this corner. You got Richie Grant, who wants to come back, who played well at times, but Grady Jarrett's your centerpiece there. Eddie Goldman played well down the stretch a little bit. But I think the Falcons need to find a way to find a pass rush. They're going to have to draft a pass rusher. They're going to be the 15th overall pick in April. And they got to find a pass rush. They got to find a pass rush that helps out the coverage of this team, because the best defense is getting the quarterback to the ground. And when you can do that consistently, Wayne, you help your defense in field position, you help your special teams, you help your offense with that same field position. And those are those hidden yards that I talk about broadcasting college football that are so important to each and every football game. The hidden yards. The hidden yards for the Notre Dame Georgia game. I know it's a NFL to college football comparison, but was the 98-yard kickoff return. So again, these hidden yards where Atlanta had 16 sacks in 4 games going into this divisional battle, and they get 0 on Bryce Young in the final half of the season. So everything went wrong, Wayne. Let's go.
I even saw a little comment. Who the quarterback for Carolina was saying that he wasn't even really trying that hard, which kind of stunk.
Yeah, I mean, he threw like a no-look, wide-open ball. He knew the ball was going to get caught in the back of the end zone. Beautiful throw. Like I said, Bryce Young's a great story. It's very fun to watch Bryce Young turn this thing around because he is a Heisman Trophy winner. And he was one of Nick Saban's better quarterbacks at Alabama. So it's good to see him succeeding. And hopefully Canales and the Panthers make it formidable for them next season for their fans in Charlotte as they prepare to get a new stadium up there in the next couple of seasons. Well, Wayne, let's stay in the NFL. Give me your Super Bowl prediction, buddy. I got Todd's right here, and we'll have some fun with this one.
Well, I would really like to see Detroit and Buffalo in that Super Bowl.
That's what I want to see. Were you looking at my notes?
No,
I'm kidding. Look, I'm the same way. I would love to see the two of the teams that do not have a Super Bowl. The Bills have obviously been to several, haven't been to one in quite a while. But the Lions, never been. I would love to see that matchup. I think that's what I want to see. And honestly, I think that's what happens. I think the Bills found a way to win games without Stephon Diggs. I've mentioned this before. Josh Allen used to have to force the ball to Stephon Diggs late in the game if he hadn't gotten his targets. And I think that is a big key moving forward, and the ability for the Bills to rush the football with James Cook and company. They're able to get to the passer at a pretty good rate, and I just like the fact that Buffalo has one of the better offenses in the league. They average over 340 yards. One of the better defenses in the league. They just give up about 340 yards a game. Kind of balanced, 115 on the ground, 226. So middle of the pack numbers, good enough defense, good enough pass rush, but the offense is there. And when you look at the offense, this Buffalo Bills team, they can fling it. They average 359 passing yards a game, very balanced with 131 rushing yards a game. And again, I just think the difference is James Cook and not having to force the ball to Stephon Diggs. You have several receivers out there. You have the tight ends, Dawson and Knox. You have Mac Hollins out there. You just have a more team-centric effort, and I think that's why I like the Bills, and that's exactly why I like the Lions. The culture changed when they won that last game 2.5, 3 years ago now, whatever it is, and they changed the culture. Dan Campbell's changed that franchise, the whole trajectory of it. I like the Lions and the Bills to meet, not only because I want it to happen, but I think it'll happen. That's my prediction. Todd's taking the Lions and the Chiefs, just like Nathan. And again, I'm not quite giving my prediction yet, as I rode with the Bills preseason. If I remember correctly, we say a lot of predictions, but I think I picked the Bills and the Lions preseason. And if it happens, that'll be nuts. I also picked, speaking of another pick, we'll get to that momentarily, I did pick Ohio State over Georgia preseason. One of those is still alive, so we'll see how good those picks stand up to time. Wayne, your final thoughts on the Super Bowl prediction. Do you have a winner yet that you want to give out yet, or you want to hold that for another show?
I would accept a win from either one of those two teams I picked, whether it's Buffalo or Detroit. And I remember back in the early 90s when the Dallas Cowboys were practically winning everything. wasn't the Bills the team that Dallas beat a few times in the Super Bowl during that period?
Correct. 2 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two times in a row, back-to-back Super Bowls.
I'm wondering if that would have turned out different if Detroit during that same period, which was a great team that had one of the best running backs in the game, what if they would have gone to the Super Bowl instead of Dallas?
It could have happened. It could have happened. They lost in the NFC title game in one of those years, 99 or 91, I believe, 92. Yeah. I can't remember who they lost to off the top of my head, but yeah, I like the Lions. I like the Bills. We're on the same page. Lions and Chiefs for Todd. Hoping Larry can come in. We'll ask him that question at the very end if he's able to jump in. But let's transition from college, from pros to college. Let's talk about it, Wayne. From 12 down to 4, which team hoists the college football playoff trophy? I like Ohio State over Penn State now. I'm sticking with Ohio State. I had them as my preseason champion. I think they have shaken off the demons from the loss to Michigan, and Michigan's not playing anybody. Michigan's done. I think this is a calling for Ryan Day to stamp his image on this program and his threshold on this job. I don't think anybody with the right mind would want to fire a guy who's basically undefeated against anybody not named Michigan and Georgia and Oregon and a couple other teams. So yeah, I like Ohio State over Penn State in the college football playoff. I think Henderson, I think Judkins, Jeremiah Smith is too much to cover. I think the Buckeyes defense with 33. I'm blanking on his last name. I believe it's Sawyer or Slayer or something like that. I'm blanking on his last name, but they got a hell of a defense, and I think that carries you with a good offense. And, man, it's Will Howard playing great football, one of the best quarterbacks in terms of accuracy in the country. I like the Buckeyes to continue the tradition. Remember, first 14 playoff, Wayne?
Yep.
Ohio State won.
Yep.
First 12-team playoff, I think Ohio State does the same. What say you?
Well, I mean, that sounds reasonable. And of the 4 teams that are there, that would be the one that I would probably pick. I'm not a super fan of any of these 4 teams, but I think I like Ohio State winning that above the other ones.
So you're with me, Ohio State over everyone. Yeah, Ohio State versus the world. As Ryan Day said, Ohio versus the world. Ohio versus the world. Well, Wayne, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty and the pick six. You've had a bad couple weeks, but you're still above 500, which is good. You're still in the ball game. 55, 52, and still that one measly push. Usually we have 2 or 3 by this point. This has got to be an all-time low in pushes. But I think there's one game on here that we could see a push. And I won't tell you which one it is, but I think we could see it this weekend. So, Wayne, you're in 3rd place at 55, 52-1. DC is in 3rd place at 57, 50-1. Larry added to his first point lead with the 4-2 week last week, bringing his record to 62, 45-1. And we all went 2-4 last week, and I dropped one game under 500 at 53, 54-1. But I will say this, hats off to us.
Yeah.
Guys, this is definitely the best we've ever done, Wayne, in our pick six, cumulative record-wise. Folks, if you're better out there, gambler, give us a listen. Give us a follow at ATL Prime Sports, folks. We're winning people money here for free. We do this for fun. We do this for passion. And give us a like, give us a follow. Again, at ATL Prime Sports across the board. Hit that notification button. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please give us a review. So let's get into the pick six. We went over the standings. 6 of the best football games from the week, college and pros. Spreads are from Wednesday per ESPNBet.com. Wayne, let's do it, man. Notre Dame, number 7 on the charts, maybe number 1 in our hearts, 13-1, playing number 6. Again, these are seedings. Penn State is 13-2 coming into the game. Notre Dame a 1.5-point favorite, as they were versus the Georgia Bulldogs. Over under in that one, 44 and a hook. Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. on the old ESPN. College football playoff semifinal at the Orange Bowl. Wayne, what you got?
I'm going to take Notre Dame to cover on this one because I really like the energy and enthusiasm they were playing with there against Georgia.
Man, this is really tough. Larry went Penn State. Todd went Penn State. And I am going Penn State because obviously I put them in the national championship. But it's the 20th all-time meeting. No one's going to win this one and take the all-time series lead. It's 9-1. They haven't played since 2007. Both teams come into this semifinal matchup with a shot to end long title droughts. 1988 for Notre Dame, 1986 for Penn State. Best point differential in program history for Notre Dame, plus 338 points they've outscored their opponents by. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty, Wayne. Penn State's got to take care of the football. Notre Dame leads the FBS with 31 takeaways. I think third down is going to be the real key for each offense on this. Penn State is 15th offensively on third down, while Notre Dame is 5th. So Notre Dame's really good at getting off the field on third down. Penn State's really good at moving the chains. So that's going to be a battle to watch all night. Who moves the chains? Who gets off the field in those battles? But I think the difference in the game, Wayne, is Penn State's tight end, Tyler Warren. Number 44 is a complete badass. He will be the difference maker. He's the only player in Big Ten history, Wayne. Big Ten history, Wayne, to have 8+ receiving touchdowns and 4 or more rushing touchdowns in a season. That blew my mind. That's Big Ten history, folks. Not Charles Woodson. Not anybody's done that in Big Ten history. All these big-time offensive players. You know, it's really interesting to think about the players that have played in the Big Ten, the receivers that have played in the Big Ten, the running backs that have played in the Big Ten. Ezekiel Elliott comes to mind. He didn't have any of that. So it's kind of interesting when a player, and Tyler Warren, number 44, is that big of a playmaker. I think that's the difference in the ballgame. Penn State, again, if they're not playing Ohio State and Michigan, it's kind of the same thing. That's their kryptonite. They're 34-2 versus teams not named Ohio State and Michigan under James Franklin. I like Penn State. I like them to cover. And honestly, Wayne, I kind of like them to win fairly easily. I was on Notre Dame at first. I was really on Notre Dame earlier in the week, and then I started doing my research, and I just started watching my film on 44, and he is hard to guard. He is hard to stop, and that is the difference in the ballgame for me right there. Again, you are the only one that took Notre Dame. Everybody else went with Penn State and those pesky points. We get a 1.5. So if Notre Dame wins by 1, Nittany Lions still get the W against the spread. That's why we do this, folks, to have a little fun. Number 8, Ohio State, 12-2 versus number 5, Texas, 13-2. Ohio State, 5.5-point favorite. Over-under in this one's 53.5. Crazy thing about this game is in Arlington, Texas, not too far away from Austin, and it's basically like in a home underdog feeling. Yeah. Friday, 7:30 p.m. on ESPN, college football playoff semifinals at the Cotton Bowl. Wayne, what say you?
Well, I'm taking Ohio State in this one, just because I feel like they've got a better chance of winning this, and I want Ryan Day to close out this season on the up note.
And you already heard one of my picks. So, yeah, I got Ohio State, too. Ohio State must have elite ball security this week. Texas is second behind Notre Dame in takeaways with 30. The Longhorns will have to move the ball versus the best defense in the country, which I think they will struggle with. The Buckeyes quarterback, again, I mentioned it, Will Howard, one of the most accurate passers in college football. 72.6% of his passes are completed, 4th best in the country. Protecting the quarterback is going to be a huge key in this one. Ohio State, 3rd in sacks, while Texas is 4th. So whoever keeps their quarterback upright, I think Will Howard will be that guy. Texas has trouble getting the ball into the end zone once they get in the red zone. And I think this is the backbreaker for Texas. They're 90th in red zone offense in the country. It's near the bottom of the barrel, Wayne. I do not like that stat. I think the SEC is going to be knocked out of here. Ohio State with the W. They cover. I think they win by 7 to 10 points. I think they may even pull away in this one. They're just playing lights out. You got Ohio State. I got Ohio State covering. Larry's got Ohio State covering. Todd's got Ohio State covering. The coaches poll has Ohio State covering. I hope that's not enough bulletin board material to make us all look bad, but we're all going Ohio State to cover. From the college football playoffs to the NFL playoffs, wild card weekend, Chargers 11-6 travel to Houston, Texas to take on the Texans at 10-7. The Chargers 3-point road favorites in this one, over under 42.5. Saturday, 4:30 p.m. on CBS. Wayne, what say you?
I'm going to go with the Texans on this one, just because I feel like with that, they're the home team, so I'm going to take them over the Chargers. And the Chargers have beat up on Atlanta too many times, so I don't like them anymore.
Yeah, you know what, Wayne? You know my rule. I love NFL home underdogs, but I just think Jim Harbaugh and this team is going to be ready to play. I might not have said it. The over-under in that one's 42.5. Over-under in the Ohio State-Texas game, 53.5. Again, Saturday, 4:30 p.m. on CBS for this NFL matchup. LA brings the best scoring defense in the NFL into this matchup. Just under 18 points a game they're allowed only 301 points all season long. The Texans have one shot at this game. They can contain Ladd McConkey. They have the ability to do that. The NFL's third best passing defense is the Texans. Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson are key edge rushers that LA will have to game plan for. But I like the Chargers. They're 12-5 against the spread this season. I think Jim Harbaugh finds a way to keep those edge rushers at bay. Give me the Chargers to cover. As Arnold Schwarzenegger would say, go Chargers, go. So you got the Texans. I got the Chargers. Todd's got the Chargers. Larry's got the Chargers.
Damn.
Little theme going here. Early. All right, that's our third game. Let's get to our fourth game of the weekend. Packers 11-6 travel to Philadelphia to take on the NFC East champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. 14-3. Philadelphia is 4.5-point home favorites. Over/under in this one's 44 and a measly hook. Sunday, 4:30 p.m. on Fox. Quarterback Jalen Hurts was seen at practice today, Wayne. Does that change your pick? Packers, Eagles, who you got?
I'm taking the Eagles on this one. I just feel like they're the better team of the two this year, and I don't see the Packers being able to beat them.
I'm with you. I am with you. I think the Eagles must contain the explosive plays from the Packers offense. Green Bay, 59 passing plays of 20 plus more yards. And they're fourth, I believe, or first in the NFL, in pass plays of 40 plus more yards. They got 14 of those. So the Eagles got to just limit the explosive plays from Jordan Love and Christian Watson and company. Josh Jacobs is able to move the rock. Maybe the Eagles have a problem, but I think the Eagles have a pretty good defense as well. But look, second best defense in the NFL is those Eagles, Wayne. And with the help of Saquon Barkley chewing up the clock, I like the Eagles. And this is another stat for icing on the cake. The Packers are 0-4 against teams with double-digit wins this year.
Well,
They're 0-4. So I don't like this game necessarily because the Eagles did win this game in Brazil earlier, so it's hard to beat a team twice. It really is. But I think this Eagles franchise is well-tuned for a playoff run, especially after last year's disaster in Tampa Bay. Remember that. Tampa Bay squeaks into the playoffs last year, hosting a playoff game. Nobody sees them coming. And they smoked the Eagles in the opening round of the playoffs. So I like the Eagles. I like them to cover. I kind of like them to win handily. I think by 7 or 10 points as well in this one. Maybe a 2-possession game in that one. And again, it's mainly because I like Saquon Barkley being able to chew up the clock and keep that explosive offense at bay. Number 5 of 6, the Commanders, 12-5, travel to Tampa Bay to take on the NFC South. Champions of the world, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 4th time they've won that division in 4 years. 10-7 are the Buccaneers. Tampa Bay is a 3-point home favorite. The typical 3-point fashion. 50.5 is the over-under. Sunday night on NBC/Peacock. Baker Mayfield was 3rd in the NFL in passing yards this year, 4,500 of those, 41 touchdowns, but he did throw 16 interceptions. He's going to have to take care of the football in this one. Look, it's huge. I think this was the toughest game to pick. Man, I'm getting where I did last time. I changed my pick and I whiffed on it. I'm going to stick with it because I whiffed last week on changing my pick. I'm 0 for 1 in that category. I'm not going to talk myself out of it. Just read it. All right. Whichever team defends the run better wins. And both teams coming to this game top 4 in rushing the yards per game on the offensive side, but the Bucs do a much better job at stopping the run. They're 4th in the NFL in rush defense, Wayne. Allowed only 1,663 yards on the season. That's why I like the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield to cover this game and win another playoff game at Raymond James Stadium for the NFC South team. And Wayne, you know this watching the NFC South. When the teams get in, they do well. They usually don't go one and done. And I could be wrong on this, but the last one and done that I remember was the Saints going out to Seattle and losing to Marshawn Lynch in the 7-9 Seattle Seahawks. I could be wrong. Someone wants to comment down that I'm wrong, please do. But yeah, I like the Buccaneers at home to cover this one. I think they win by a touchdown. Wayne, what say you?
Well, I'm going to go with the Washington team on this one because I just don't want to see the Buccaneers continue on any farther. And I don't know, the Commanders seem to have it together pretty well at this point in the season. I mean, they beat Atlanta next to last game, so they couldn't be all that bad. But I just don't want the Buccaneers to go any farther.
Little fanism 101 for you there.
Right.
Larry's with you. He's taking the Commanders in the points. Todd and I are split down the middle. So we're split. There's the first one. We split, not having a majority of the way. So Bucks cover for me, Bucks cover for Todd. And let's go to the 6th and final game and get out of here for the Happy New Year. Vikings 14-3 travel to the Rams at 10-7. Game is scheduled for Monday night at 8 p.m. on ESPN. Vikings are 1-point road favorites. Over under 47 and a hook. Vikings second best rushing defense in the league. It's hard to beat a team 2 times in the regular season, yet alone in a playoff run. The Rams did it in Week 8. Rams allowed the 4th most receiving yards to tight ends this year. Expect T.J. Hawkinson to get involved early and often. That opens up the Addison, the Justin Jefferson, and then you got Aaron Jones. So I like the Vikings on the road here. And you got to pay attention to this game because, unfortunately, there are some wildfires raging in L.A. And the NFL has just put out, and I want to go read this. The NFL is still planning on holding Monday's wild card game at SoFi Stadium, but has a contingency plan in place due to the ongoing L.A. wildfires. That is per the NFL. So this game will be played regardless. Just doesn't mean it might not be in L.A. And I have a feeling it might not be in L.A., Wayne. And if it does, that's going to throw off the Rams a little bit. And I think it'll benefit the Vikings. And we go on more and more with that. But I like the Vikings. I think Sam Darnold gets back on track. I think Aaron Jones is able to rush a little bit, keep a balanced attack. I like the Vikings to cover in this one. Todd's going Rams in the points. Larry's with me on Vikings and covers. Who do you got, Wayne?
Well, I'm picking the Vikings on this one because I think they're looking to bounce back after that extremely poor game they played their last regular season. And so I don't think the Rams are going to have a chance on this one. I look for the Vikings to win pretty big on this one.
Yeah, so it's there it goes. The majority, 3-1 on that one. That's how most of our picks went tonight. Well, folks, that wraps up the main show for tonight. Again, if you like the content, please give us a like on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, at ATL Prime Sports across the board. Hit that notification button so you can get notified when we drop our latest content. Lane, your final thought for the night, my friend?
Well, my final thought is just going to be a question for you so that I can make sure I get some of these graphic rights. These 4 last NFL games, those are all wild card games. Is that correct?
That is all wild card
Excellent,
games, absolutely.
Excellent. Well, that is what I'm looking for, some wild card games this weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the wild card games as well. I'm looking forward to the college football playoff semifinals Thursday and Friday night. But my thoughts and prayers go out to the families affected by the Southern California wildfires. It's an awful thing. Nature is undefeated, Mother Nature is. And my thoughts and prayers just go out to everybody affected by those Southern California wildfires. They are raging, and it is crazy out there. I hope everybody stays as safe as possible. And prayers to the victims who have already lost their lives or have been injured. That wraps us up, Wayne. For Wayne in Memphis, Larry in Adairsville, Todd in Woodstock, I'm JJ right here in Logan, Georgia. Again, as always, catch us at ATL Prime Sports. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the football. Get you one. We'll see you.